And thank you to everybody who is joining us from Zoom. This is a wonderful way to end your Friday. I am Hilary Russo. I am a holistic mental health practitioner. I'm trauma informed. And I'm here to talk to you about the neuroscience of healing through touch, a havening techniques experience. Has anyone ever heard of havening before? No. Yay! Of course you did, Dr. Wonderful. And of course, my partner's here as well. And if anyone out there, if you want to add to the chat, just let us know if you've heard of havening before, because we're going to learn all about it today and why this is a beautiful neuroscience-based approach to put into your everyday practice to share with your clients, your patients, yourself, your family, and how easy it is to use. Okay. Oh, I'm going to have to I might have to go up here and hit next. It's not letting me share. Oh, there we go. All right, there we are. All right, so I'm Hilary Russo. I am a trauma-informed holistic practitioner and coach. I'm also a havening techniques practitioner and also one of only 50 havening trainers in the world. I train doctors and therapists and nurses, teachers, anyone that wants to bring this into their home, into their personal and professional life. And we're going to learn more about havening, but I want to talk more about touch first and what really brought me into this work. So my background is I'm a health and wellness journalist by trade. I've been a health and wellness journalist for over 30 years. And being able to sit and speak with people and really learn their stories can be very impactful and have an effect on you as well. And I imagine as we are doctors or therapists or in this field of medicine, a lot of times we hear really personal stories and that can really affect us. And as I've been doing my work in this field, I also have a podcast, so I hear a lot of stories every day, the Holistically Speaking podcast. I've covered stories like 9/11, the opioid crisis, the pandemic, and even transgender medicine. When I was working, even here in Connecticut, New Haven, I hosted a show called CT Voice, which was all about the LGBTQIA+ community, a very marginal community that needs our support. But hearing all these stories led me to think, how am I supporting myself? I was feeling very dysregulated. I don't think I even knew what the word dysregulated was when I was in the field full time. So being able to have a better understanding of how to support myself is obviously important, as we feel that as well if we're in the field. Yeah, like being able to sit back and support yourself is probably one of the most important things, because how can you support others? And also, I'm a former military spouse, so I was hearing a lot of things that could be very detrimental. I'm gonna take this off real quick. All right, so what happened there? There we go. Just put that up there. Okay, there we are. Okay, so basically, connection is our oldest form of how we really co-regulate. From going back to the days when we were first touched by our caregiver. This is actually a picture of me and my grandmother when I was just born. Yeah, very grainy and black and white. If that gives away back there as we were talking about menopause, how old I am, to just making our young friendships, to even, our children that we have in our lives, and even when we're in the profession that we're in now, working in medicine and in mental health and any area where we can support people. And this is actually somebody I was working with recently that's a client of mine and now is pursuing the havening as well. But thinking about connection and how it really impacts us, let's go back to what the benefits of touch are. Benefits of touch is so important for us. It is a tactile, to see tactile, just like putting your hand on someone or giving someone a hug, or I call it hug it out, right? We tend to hug it out with other people when there's an upset in the world, but what about hugging it out with ourselves? How often do you sit there and give yourself nurturing, and the nurturing we need the most to be able to regulate our emotions when we need it most? And it also promotes the parasympathetic nervous system, reduces cortisol, boosts your serotonin, your dopamine, your GABA, and even your oxytocin. And I call those the brain candy of your everyday, right? Sometimes we take the different things we need out of the candy jar, the brain candy jar, to see what we need in this world. So if we are able to have that emotional safety, and emotional safety is so important for our co-regulation. I'm going to give him a moment to pass by. All right. So these are the benefits of touch. And this is very important to promote emotional safety, right? We need to feel safe. It all goes back to safety because our amygdala, which is designed for us to feel safe, that's its one job. If it doesn't feel safe, you know what happens, right? What are the responses? Does anyone want to share what the responses might be to when your amygdala is not feeling safe? We learned this back in like, I think undergrad, if not in grade school. It's fight, flight, freeze, or fawn, right? Or even defensive rage. So when the amygdala, which doesn't understand time or space at all, it's really up to us to be in the driver's seat and help build that better relationship with our amygdala, right? We call her Amy in the world of havening, actually. Yeah, well, think about it. If you think about you want Amy to feel safe, right? You make her feel like an injured child or a child that just fell and skinned their knee. How do you make them feel safe? You let Amy know it's okay. You're all right. You're safe, right? So in the fields that we're in, especially when we're working in medicine, when we're working in mental health, even being a parent, you know, we can be exposed to secondary traumatic stress all the time. I know this from just the work that I did in journalism for so long, and I'm still doing, that I hear stories every day that can be very activating. And these activating stories, if I'm not able to process that it's not my story, my amygdala can go to that place of feeling like it's the one that's going through it right now. So that's secondary trauma is the actual duress that you're refers to the natural consequence of behaviors and emotions that often result from knowing about a traumatic event that's being experienced by another, right? Maybe it's your child. Maybe it's a patient you're seeing. Maybe it is a client you're seeing. Maybe it's just a friend. Maybe it's as simple as watching something and turning on the television and being very activated by something you watch, but your amygdala might be processing it as if you're feeling it yourself. So it's really up to us to understand what's going on with us cognitively, autonomically, somatically, emotionally, and really understand our emotions, really know what's going on in our own lives, right? And how can this impact us? When we are exposed to things like secondary traumatic stress, or even when we're feeling primary stress, you know, we can actually have these impact us professionally. Is anyone feeling burnout? Is anyone in the caregiving industry? Yeah. Yeah. What is coming up for you? What is it that might be coming up for you? What are the feelings?
Holding too much space for others and not enough for myself.
Right. That's a big one I hear all the time from the doctors that I work with and nurses and therapists, that you're in such service to show up for others. I mean, that's what we do. It's an empathetic job that many of us do, but it's so important for us to show up for ourselves, or we can't help from an empty tank, right? Was there another hand? You said something? Yeah? Yes.
I think one of the things that all of us in healthcare workers face is not feeling like we're doing enough. Like for our patients, for everyone around us, always having that ambition and that drive, but not taking that space to rest and recover. So I think
Rest and recover is so important. So being in the space of helping others, again, it goes back to when are we taking time for ourselves? You know, we're going to talk about havening in a minute. You're going to get a chance to try it. But one thing I do between every session is that I'm walking into my next session doing some self-havening, self-regulating myself, even if it's for 5 minutes, even if I don't have that and it's 1 minute, even if I'm sitting at my desk and if I'm having to eat while I'm in between, because sometimes they're one on top of another, it's really giving yourself the space, right? To show up to yourself and be kind to your mind. Were you gonna share something as well?
Sure.
Yeah.
I'm not a therapist, but working with advisors and just managing the department. It's like you're always pouring into other people. For me, I know that I need a day off or whatever when I start feeling resentful towards people.
Right.
Because it's not their fault that they need something, you know? So I have to like recognize that, but like it's not like,
Yes.
what about me? Like everyone's like gonna get some, and it's not from a negative perspective, like they're normal things they need, but it's
Yeah.
like then you can't really give from an empty cup.
You can't give from an empty cup. And thank you for being a teacher as well. I mean, as a college professor, I used to see this all the time with my students. constantly they're coming to you for guidance, right? Or faculty is coming to you for guidance as somebody that works in higher ed. How are you showing up for yourself when you're like, you want to help everybody? We all are helpers in this world, right? We're all helpers in this room. We're helpers on the Zoom as well. But it's so hard to sometimes take a step away from it and realize you're going to be a disservice to others unless you service yourself, right? So these are great examples. Thank you so much for sharing. Compassion fatigue. I know the doctor shared about that before. If you're going through menopause, it's probably even skyrocketing through the roof, right? Add that on top of things, right? And then exposure to other people's trauma, like I mentioned, secondary traumatic stress. Personally, are we taking this home with us? I will say, and I apologize to my friend back in the room, there are times that I had to really check myself because the stress can get overwhelming. Am I bringing this back? Am I disconnected? Am I exhausted? Am I irresponsible? Am I making decisions that just aren't in my best interest and those who I care about and love? Right? So these kind of, the impact can really impact you both personally and professionally, and then those you're trying to serve with your true heart, right? So you're in a beautiful city at Yale University called New Haven, right? And haven is a really beautiful word. It's actually where the word havening comes from. But you might see these signs all over the place, right? You might see them at a hospital or a doctor's office or a police department or anywhere, knowing that there's a place to go that's a safe haven or a safe place for others, right? But a haven or a safe place is a situation or an activity which provides people with an opportunity to escape from things that they find unpleasant and worrying. So it's nice to know that you live in a city or you're here in the city where it can be considered a haven. This university, I'm sure, is a haven to a lot of people. The students, they want to feel safe, right? Your home is your haven. You want it to be your respite. The car that you drive, the town that you live in, the relationships you have are all things that you hope to be a safe haven. But here's the one haven we forget about. This one right here. This is the only piece of real estate we really own, right? This is the only piece of real estate that you have eminent domain on for the rest of your life. So shouldn't it be the one that you actually pay the most attention to, right? Like stamp that lease, you own it forever. So when we think about, and I love this video because this kind of plays into what we're about to go into with havening. We've all seen the Jack in the Box, right? What happens when Jack pops out? What happens? No matter what, no matter where you go, no matter what country you're in, that Pop Goes the Weasel song plays, what actually happens when you're like doing one of these things from a distance? Anticipation, startled, feels awful. I know, you're like, oh, I know what's coming, right? You know what's coming. What else? Anyone else? Surprise, maybe your heart starts racing, your hands get clammy. It's the anticipation, but it's also like this level of uncertainty, even though you know what's going to happen, right? So that's your amygdala going, I don't feel safe in this situation, right? I need to feel safe here. Even if it's a trail that looks like it's the most safest trail, sometimes that amygdala feels safer than the things that aren't safe because it's more, I'm used to this. This feels better. If you ever think about people who are in domestic relationships, domestic violent relationships, sometimes they tend to stay in those relationships because safety doesn't necessarily mean they are safe, right? So this leads us into the doctors that actually co-developed havening. This is Dr. Steve and Ron. If they look a little familiar or they look alike, that's because they're twins. Dr. Ron is a Harvard-trained internist, and Dr. Steve is a dental surgeon. I've trained with them. They are mentors and fathers of havening, and truly, I'm so grateful for them because they have put me in the seat of being able to be a trainer of this modality so that I can train the teachers and the therapists and the first responders and the nurses and the doctors to bring the power of active emotional well-being into your hands so that you can share it with those you serve. So havening techniques is a psychosensory technique, meaning that we tend to have different ways that we can support our well-being. We have psychopharmacology, right? And using medications when we need to. We have psychotherapy, so that we have talk therapy to help people. And then we have psychosensory, which is the use of a sense. And the predominant sense that we use with havening is touch. And it is designed to change the brain to reduce those negative effects of trauma. It can de-encode trauma when you're working with a certified practitioner. The havening touch is actually just 3 touches. I'm going to show you because we're going to do it in a few minutes. It's like you're simply washing your hands. We all do it together. This is so simple. This is self-havening, self-regulating and self-soothing for self-care. It's like you're giving yourself a hug from shoulders to elbows, a gentle touch. That's all it takes. Or even if you're comfortable touching your face. And if you do it this way, it feels a little different. Right? It feels like you're being nurtured, right? How often do you nurture yourself? How often are you taking time to nurture yourself? So that's the havening touch. And when you pair it with a pleasant distraction or a positive thought, and that could be anything. That could be counting to 20. It could be singing a song. It could be taking your amygdala on a first class ticket vacation if you're great at visualization. And I love to do this in my monthly havening happy hours that I do online, and they're free. Share that more with you. When you actually pair it with a positive thought or pleasant distraction, you are rewiring the brain beautifully, and you're letting the amygdala know that it is safe. It creates that neurochemical charge in the brain, and it builds a resilience. And also, when working, like I said, with a certified practitioner, it can de-encode trauma. But isn't it wonderful that we have this ability to create the space to build resilience, to share with our clients, our students, our patients, to let them know that the tool is in their hands? Because all too often, and for a very long time, mental health was treated that you have to go to somebody, right? You have to go to somebody, and it's that 50 minutes you spend with them, and that's when you feel better. But isn't it the time between the bookends? Because aren't we taking the power away from those we're helping if we're expecting them to just to spend time with us? The one thing I say to those who work with me, whether they're one-to-one or I'm in group or I'm sharing wonderful talks like this, is that the antithesis of what I do is that I never want to see you again. And by that, I mean, I want to push you out of the nest and know that you're going to thrive without my need. Let me show you the tools, and you get to be in the driver's seat. And then when you need further support on the deeper traumas, the upsets, you have something new that comes up, because we always have something new, you know I'm here to support you, right? So one thing about havening that I love is that it puts you in what I call delta wave deliciousness. It produces a lot of delta waves just from being able to self-regulate and self-soothe. And we pretty much live probably in gamma and beta, high level alertness, concentration. It's the do world that we live in, especially in this digital age. But havening produces a beautiful amount of the hertz because of the C tactile, because you're touching from the shoulders to the elbows, or you're doing it on your hands or even on your face. And by the way, when you actually can do the touch on somebody else. I'm going to show you that in a second. But the delta waves are deep sleep. That's your restoration state. So isn't it beautiful that you're able to produce more delta waves when you're awake, when you're going from point A to point B? We don't have to wait for sleep, right? So why havening works is, like I mentioned, it does produce more delta waves, that deep sleep state. It promotes that neuroplasticity. It's only been about 25 years that we really realized that we can change our brain. Before that, we were dependent on, oh, this is who I am. I guess that's my story, right? But now what we can do is we can create new neural pathways. It's almost like being on a trail. And I love using this scenario, is that many times we see a trail if we're hiking, right? And the trail looks like it's been weathered and well-pathed, and maybe even see the footprints. And maybe there's a sign that says trail. But then there's also a sign that says falling rock ahead. When you look this way, we see another trail. Maybe it's been walked on a little bit. Maybe some folks have traveled on it a little bit. Uncertainty is on that trail, but there's no sign that says falling rock. It's more likely we'll take this trail because it's been more traveled. So it's up to us to start creating new neural pathways this way. And then once you go that way, maybe there's a beautiful waterfall. Maybe there's mermaids at the end of it. Who knows? But by giving yourself the possibility of something new and a new way of being, you're creating the neuroplasticity that's so important for us to live well. And it's in your hands. It releases oxytocin, dopamine, GABA, and oxytocin is the love hormone, the hug hormone, right? So we're hugging it out with ourselves. It also releases GABA. And again, it calms the amygdala and creates that safe haven. So it also does what, now, havening used to be called amygdala depotentiation back in the days. That's the term that Dr. Stephen Ron Rudin actually called it, but that's just not sexy, right? And they knew that. They knew I'm not going to go for my amygdala depotentiation session, right? Havening sounds so much better. It's a really soft and nurturing word. So, but what it does is it does depotentiate, which means it's weakening that traumatic memory and response with the AMPA receptors, with releasing the really good chemicals, the brain candy. It's allowing your amygdala to feel safe. And the applications of the field are really endless. I mean, you can actually facilitate it where you are doing the havening touch with consent, obviously, with a client or a patient, with a child, with a friend, being able to actually do it on them, you know, let them just sit there and be present. I feel like I have a lot of people I work with in person that like to work in person because they just want to sit there and be in their own little place in their mind while I'm facilitating the session on them. But then I have so many clients that I see virtually, and that's the beauty. I think I will say one of the benefits from the pandemic is that it gave us the ability to really connect with people and give people options in mental health that they didn't maybe have before. Wow, I can sit in my yoga pants and actually see somebody. And yes, there's a place for people needing to get out of their homes. There are certain people that we probably want to encourage, let's step outside of your home. But for people to be able to just sit down and be like, wow, I have a havening session today. This is awesome. Being able to do that, the efficacy is just as good as if they were working with me in public. So when I do when I do it online, I'm facilitating the session, watching their reactions, watching what they're saying. And it also is a modality that does not have to be content rich. It could be content free. I can have somebody come to me and say, Hilary, I've had a day, let's just haven. And I can just facilitate the session with them, whether they're in person or online, and they don't have to say anything because they're going to that beautiful place in their mind. They're distracted, they're counting, they're doing whatever they need to do. It could also be, you know, if you are somebody in the medical field or the health field or even education or really anything, being able to take those 2 or 3 minutes, and we say like 8 to 12 minutes is kind of like the sweet spot for the delta waves to be produced in the capacity and oxytocin, serotonin, dopamine. But even taking 2 minutes to self-regulate and self-soothe for self-care is helpful. It's better than none at all, right? And then also giving this tool to children. I speak at a lot of schools, and I love seeing that we're giving these social and emotional learning tools to children. Because I don't know, being a Gen Xer myself, what were we told back in the day? Go to your room, think about what you did. And never in the history of being told to go to your room and think about what you did you ever go to your room and think about what you did, right? Usually we're festering, we're angry, we're mad we got caught, right? What if we give kids tools to really understand their emotions, to downregulate themselves? I love seeing, I have moms that will send me videos of their kids walking around singing like Broadway Disney songs, or just counting or being in their own little world and havening. And I know I'm like, yes, this is happening, this is working. Imagine seeing self-havening in schools. We're in 10,000 schools around the world. We're also doing, we're doing humanitarian havening. There's been work with the refugees, the Syrian refugees in Greece, in parts of Africa. Being able to give people tools when they're in traumatic situations just to self-regulate, how empowering is that? And this is how it would work if I was actually doing a session on someone. Being able to gently touch them, easy, I don't want to block you. Shoulders to elbows or even on the hands, right? Just such a simple, beautiful way. And for the interest of time, I don't know if we'll have time for me to do an actual demo on someone here, because I'd rather you all leave here being able to do a little self-havening, okay? So a group havening experience is what I would love to do with all of you, whether you're here in person or you are online watching. This is a really beautiful approach. And what I want you to do in this moment is, we're gonna go back real quick before I do that. Oops, I knew that was gonna happen. do a little group havening real quick. What I would like for everyone to do in this moment is think about something on a scale of 0 to 10. 0 is what I call namaste all day, doesn't bother you at all, right? 10 is off the charts triggered. Find something that's around a 5. And maybe we can even say the numbers out loud. You don't have to share what it is. Remember, there's no content that you have to share. Can anyone think of a feeling that you're having right now and the number that you would associate with it? Sorry? 0 to 10. Find something in the middle round, and those that are watching online, maybe you can put it in the chat. What is a feeling that you have right now that maybe it's anxious and you're at a 5, maybe it's sleepy and you're at a 6. Where can we get some words throwing out in the room? Something you might be
Anxious at 6.
anxious at a 6. Anyone else? Did someone else raise their hand? Just a feeling or an emotion, something you would like to go away, something you're kind of like, this has been sitting with me. I'd really like to see this be removed for a while. I don't want to think about it. Disappointed. What's your number? 5 and disappointed, anxious at a 6. What else we got? Uncertainty at a 3. And by the way, these numbers, you're not being graded. This is a subjective unit of distress, right? The lower the number, the more in alignment you are to a much calmer feeling, right? So the word was uncertainty at a 3. Anyone else? Out of 5, we went up a little bit in the scale. That's okay. Anyone else want to share? Sleep deprived at a 5. Oh my goodness, yes, I hear that. Anyone else? I can see a lot of nods, right? Lots of sleep deprivation. Whatever it is to you, you don't have to share, but I appreciate all of you sharing. Take that number, and those of you who didn't share, and those of you watching, take that number and just kind of put it aside. Know what you're feeling, right? I'm at a 5 and I'm feeling this, right? And feel where it is in your body too. Where are you feeling it in your body? You know, take note of that. Oh, it's in my chest. Maybe I feel it in my throat. My shoulders are feeling tight. Just be aware of that. Okay. Yeah, I love that. Like you can close your eyes and just feel that for a moment. Just be witness to it. It's all about feeling our feelings. That's okay. The beauty of havening is that you don't stay in this emotion. We're not keeping you in the upset. Because what I want you to do now is like park it aside, put it over here with a little bow on it, let it know, hey, I feel you, I know you, I know it, and I'm absolutely with you. However, we're gonna go on a little vacation, okay? And then what I want to do is show you what the havening touch is. Remember, it's like you're washing your hands, giving yourself a gentle hug from your shoulders down to your elbows, and even touching your face. There's no choreography. You can do any or all 3 of these touches. I work with a lot of military and veterans and men that are like, and my partner included, who's works for the government, they're not walking around doing this, you know, the FBI, right? But what they are doing is able to do this just in the car or maybe sitting at their desk. You know, a lot of these C-suite executives I work in don't want to ever look like they are weak. You know, sometimes, especially with men, there's this feeling of if I share my emotions, I'm weak. But we're seeing that change. But we want to be able to understand and be present with our emotions to self-regulate and self-soothe for self-care. Okay. So washing your hands, shoulders to elbows, or on your face. And then what I want you to do is if you're comfortable with it, close your eyes. Can everyone here visualize? Are you good at visualization? If you're not, and that goes for anyone watching as well, if you're not, find a place to look outside and you're going to count maybe 23 things that are going on outside, or look around the room and count to 20 different things. It's just bringing your attention to something else other than the upset that you just shared. You're distracting yourself. If you can go on a visual vacation, more power to you, because you're taking your amygdala on a first-class ticket wherever you want to go. Okay. So I want you to close your eyes for the moment and then just start the havening touch. You're going to continue the havening touch for a couple minutes. And I'm just going to be a guide by your side with this. Imagine that I'm like the assistant detective on your case. It's your case, you're solving it. I'm just the airline attendant that's taking your ticket when you're going on your trip. Okay. And then I'm going to count to 20. And what I would like you to do is with each number that I mention, think of something that brings you peace or calm or joy. So the beach comes up a lot as an example. So maybe number 1 is feeling the sand beneath your feet. Number 2 might be the wind in your hair, right? Really immerse yourself in the experience. And I'm just going to start counting from number 1 You don't have to share what it is, remember, it's all about your experience. Number 2, just already feeling lighter and calmer, more connected. And 3, don't forget to breathe. Breathing's very important. And 4, feeling lighter and calmer, more connected. And then this 5th number, I want you to take a deep breath as you're havening and bring to mind maybe another sense or a feeling that you have. You're activating a feast of your senses. Maybe you smell something in the air or you see something. Beautiful. Move on to number 6 and 7. Maybe you're just gliding along now. And 8. Beautiful. And 9. And 10. Take a deep breath on 10. Don't forget to breathe. It's so important. Maybe that breath breathes in the smells of wherever you are. Maybe you taste something on your lips. Maybe you smell something, whatever it might be. Maybe something brushes your cheek. Move on to 11 and 12. It almost feels like you're floating now. Life is just easy. And 13 and 14, being present with yourself. 15 and 16 and 17. 18, keep havening. Remember, doing the touch along with the distraction is part of the whole havening technique. And 19 and 20. And take a deep breath and release. And now to yourself, just go through the alphabet and nod when you're done. It could be in whatever your first language is, whatever's comfortable to you. Just go through the alphabet briefly. You can mouth it and say it quietly, just respecting other people's space. Beautiful. Okay. And now I just want you to go through the months of the year briefly and then nod when you're done. Just know how the difference a year can make by going around in a full cycle, one turn around the sun. And then take another deep breath and release. When you're ready, relax your hands in your lap. And now I want you to tell me the word that's coming to mind for you. What's the word? Sunshine. Beautiful. What number are you at? Lower the number, more connected. You're a 1. Sunshine. What were you before? 6. And what was your word? Anxious to sunshine, 6 to a 1. Who else? Who else wants to share? What word? Yes. Peace. And what's your number? And where were you? Anxious at a 5. Now you're at peace at a 1. Beautiful. Lovely. Yes, Julie. Disappointed at a 5, peace at a 1. That's the doctor. Wow, that's amazing. Lovely. Thank you for sharing. Anyone else?
5. There was a release.
A release. So sleep deprived at a 5, and now a release in your shoulder. Your body feels a little more relaxed. And what's your number? Lower, actually. Then, if you're feeling more, yeah, your number would be more connected to. What's the word that you had?
Relaxed release. I think my first word. Your
first word was sleep deprived. The lower the number would mean you're more relaxed.
Okay.
Beautiful, right? Sometimes I'll get people go, I don't know, 2.36. I'm like, all right. The scientists in the room, right? Can't ever be at a whole number. What about yourself?
Acceptance.
Acceptance. Beautiful. Acceptance from uncertainty at a 5. Beautiful. This is how easy this approach is to self-regulate and self-soothe for self-care. And when you are working with others, if you're interested in the certification process, the reason why I love this is something that Dr. Steve Rudin shared with me the other day, that this is like you're immersing yourself into the experience, right? You're immersing yourself into it. You cannot calm the grizzly bear of those traumatic encoded moments with a dog leash. Right? We have to down-regulate ourselves first. So I invite you to think about something before we even go anywhere, because I love ending with gratitude. Just take a moment just to haven for a second again and think about what 3 things are you grateful for professionally? How often do we share our own self-gratitude in the world? We think about what we're grateful for outside of ourselves. Oh, I'm grateful for a great home, loving family and friends. What are you contributing to the world? When is the last time you actually had gratitude for what you do? And when you're sitting there and you're doing a little self-haven and thinking about it, it's amazing how that will even downregulate you. And suddenly you have a spring in your step and you're walking on campus and you're like, I'm ready to just conquer the world and help the people that I'm helping and serve myself and serve others. I do want to mention, if anyone is interested in training, I do trainings regularly. I do a 2-day training that just gives you the basics of the havening. We go into the neuroscience, like deeply into the neuroscience. We go into the history. We do the entire protocol, which there's 7 different protocols of havening. This was very brief, but that 2-day will just give you the basics of the havening. And then there's a certification process that can take anywhere between 5 months to a year with me as your mentor. We only have, there's 1,000 practitioners in this world. We would love to have more. We would love to see it in the medical field more, where we are definitely certifying more doctors and therapists and first responders and military and teachers and moms and dads, just to use this approach at home or in the field. Because it really is about putting the power of active emotional well-being in your own hands and being kind to your mind. I also host a monthly havening happy hour. I've been doing this since the first week of the pandemic, because the pandemic fell in March and that was my birthday month. And I'm like, well, we're all disconnected. How do we bring people together? So ever since March of 2020, I've been doing these online for free. You are welcome to show up. I do what we did here, but I do everybody's online, and I guide you in a full experience with music, with all of us connecting and sharing and Q&A and any questions you have. It's a beautiful community, and I would be happy to have anyone that would like to join. And of course, you can always get in touch with me and reach out to me at any time. Holistically speaking, I would love to just connect with all of you. And thank you for taking your Friday afternoon to be here and carry this into the weekend. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you, those watching.
The play on the name of your project.
Yes, that is actually also the name of my podcast. So holistically speaking we're #1 top rated podcast globally, and it's trauma to triumph stories through health, healing, and humor. We have amazing guests, experts in the field that come on, and I would love for you to tune in.